Oh, hello. In today's video, I'm going to tell you my tournament report from the Element Games Legends Shatterpoint event. This was a little while ago now, on the 1st of March. So, yeah, it's been a few days trying to get around to it, other things to talk about, but here we go. This is my event report. Let's jump in. So, event overview. So it starts at 8:30. This is Element Games in Stockport. I do want to say a few things about Element Games in Stockport. So, obviously, I've been there a few times before to shop, right? It's their original store, their sort of flagship store. They are a really good shop, especially for hobby products. They've got almost anything you could want. But I will say, you do have to climb a flight of stairs to get in, right? There's no way around it, right? They are just a first floor venue. So if you're in a wheelchair, tough. The car park's also kind of appalling. It's kind of loose, potholy gravel that fills with water. So these are literally the only two negative things that I have to say about the whole affair. I'm going to say them now, because I know previously when I've done video reviews of kill team events, and I've talked about this kind of accessibility stuff, people have really thanked me and said that was really good. So it is just worth bearing in mind, if you can't do a flight of stairs, you can't get into Element Games. That's just the long and the short of it. Now, I'm lucky, because even though I am a disabled person, I am a blue badge holder, I am someone that can do stairs. Prefer not to, right? But I can do. So that sucks. And the car park's just kind of grim. Not properly marked bays, no disabled parking, floods all the time. You get this weird, it's going to sound really petty, but you get this weird white dirt on your shoes, and then you get this weird white dirt on the inside of your car. It's unpleasant. Let's draw a line under it. Let's talk about the event. The event was fantastic. So, it was a long day. Started at 8:30, finished at 6. Didn't feel like a long day. Felt really, really quick. Really enjoyed it. 5 rounds. No, breaks structured in between the rounds. And 45 minutes only for lunch. So, this was my first ever Shatterpoint tournament. And I did find the timings very tight. I finished all my games, but 3 of the 4 games I played, we ended up with Mission Critical, it's called, where essentially you gain a momentum at the end of every single turn in the last half hour of the game in order for it to bring things to a close, which is a rule they have in there, a tournament rule, which is fine. It did feel a little obviously, as I go to more tournaments and practice playing more with the required pace, I'll get better. But I did, especially in the first round, it kind of took me by surprise just how quickly time passed. And there wasn't really a lot of time for lunch. I'll talk a bit more about lunch in a minute or two. But apart from that, so yeah, the schedule was very pacey. I've started off I really had a great time. I've just started off with a couple of negative things. But yeah, it was pacey. Pacier, certainly, than, you go to Warhammer World to play Kill Team, loads of breaks, big long lunch time. Some people don't like that. They feel like they're wasting their time. They get bored, Some people just want to game, go home. I'm, as I've said before on the channel, bit of a casual dad. I wouldn't mind a chat and a browse of the shop, and, a bit of downtime. I'd happily... Yeah, it's a weird one. The venue's really, really good. Aside from the issues I had at the start about the car park and the fact that it is a flight of stairs, which is, it's kind of shit, but what you can do. I'd visited Element Games flagship store in Stockport before, but I'd never been into the gaming centre. The gaming centre is huge. It really, really is huge. Now, one thing that I'm going to pass on here for anyone else that goes here, hasn't been there before, if you arrive for your tournament just before 9:30, the shop doesn't open until 9 o'clock. So the door that faces the car park that you would think is the way in has a little sign on it saying use Hallam Street entrance. So you walk round to Hallam Street on the other side and you don't see anything that looks like a way into Element Games. Eventually, after my wife and I had walked up and down Hallam Street for about 5 minutes, one of the locals was coming in and he's like, "Oh, it's in his car." I was like, "Oh, it's through there," and yeah, you have to go through this door labelled Ohana Theatre, and as soon as you open the door labelled Ohana Theatre, there is a sign, like a paper sign on the wall in front of you saying this way to the Element Games Northwest Gaming Centre, right? But there's no sign outside to let you know that that's where you're going. So that's kind of interesting. Um, the venue's massive, really good, loads of space. There was loads of other things going on. There was like a Middle-earth event that looked pretty big. There was people playing. What else? I think there was various card games things going on. There was loads of stuff going on. Busy, but nevertheless you had loads of space. What's pretty unique for gaming spaces in the UK outside of Warhammer World is this is the only other gaming space I've been to with a fully licensed bar. Like I've been to other games, like obviously the Turning Point Tactics Kill Team event had a fully licensed bar as well, but that was more of a, if you're playing in like a convention, a place that you rented. But this is one of the only other purpose-built gaming spaces I know that has that fully licensed bar, so that's pretty cool. I wasn't drinking myself, but you could have done if you wanted to, which I thought was pretty good. There was also food. Now, I couldn't quite get the measure of the food. There was food where you could scan a QR code on a table, and I think that would let you order food from. There was like a couple of takeaways nearby that they had a reciprocal deal with, where they would bring the food to you, to your table, to bring you food. They also had a menu at the bar where they had some kind of food that they made there, I think. But we ended up with half an hour for our lunch, and my mother-in-law, I'm staying with my mother-in-law who lives like 5 minutes away from Element Games in Stockport. So she made me a cooked breakfast. And then we'd made plans, because I went with my wife and with our mutual friend, Ben. And then we'd made plans to all go, the three of us plus Ben's wife, to go out for something to eat afterwards. So I kind of had a big breakfast. I knew I was getting a heavy meal in the evening. So I just had a packet of crisps. Actually, that was fine, as it turned out. But I'm sure the next time I go there, I will have a proper understanding of the food arrangements and report back. And of course, you are in Element Games, so if you do have time in your lunch break, or if you have a game that finishes early, you can wander into the shop and use the opportunity to buy some stuff. Element Games, weirdly, right, and they are an affiliate of this channel, and I recommend them for nearly everything else. And the link's in the description. They're not actually really good for Shatterpoint. They seem to get new releases later than other places in the UK, and their discounts not as good as other places in the UK. For Shatterpoint, I've started ordering my stuff from Darkstar Games. I've not got a link because I'm not affiliated with them, but if you just Google up Darkstar Games, they've got the Shatterpoint stuff for cheaper, and they have the new releases in it. I mean, we get them after Americans anyway. After a lifetime of Warhammer, not having the privilege of getting all the cool stuff first, it's kind of a drag, right? But yeah, Element's really weirdly not good for actual shout. Like, they have stuff if you want stuff that's already in stock, that's been out for a while, but they don't seem to get the new stuff really quickly, so that's kind of a drag. But I did go and avail myself of some of the hobby stuff. I picked up some of the Dirty Down Rust and Dirty Down Verdigris, which I've been wanting to try on some projects, so that'll be pretty cool. Great to pick up stuff like that where you're buying a couple of pots of this or a couple of pots of that, and you don't necessarily want to pay and have that shipped to you, so it's nice to have that option as well. I thought that was really cool. Right, let's talk about the actual games of Shatterpoint. Right, so this was what I brought. Now, this isn't quite right because I kept swapping them around. So I brought General Grievous with Kalani and Magnus, and then Count Dooku with B1s and Kraken. So it's all droids, with Grievous and Dooku. the reason I put the B1s with Dooku and the Magnas with Grievous is because Grievous has an ability on his card that's like lets someone else hit the person he's engaged with. I've kind of realised that's the wrong way around, and I should go back to running them as I've got them pictured here with the ranged droids with Grievous, because it probably actually works out better, and the Magna Guard with Dooku potentially. But there you go. I probably will run them that way around when I next run this list and see. But then again, it is nice to have Grievous's big base on one side and the B1's big bases on the other side. It does make deployment a bit easier. So there is that part to it as well. I'm going to speak more about Shatterpoint and specifically list building within the Separatist tag in a future upcoming video as well. So that should be interesting. So my first round was against a fella called Adam Tudor. So Adam, really lovely guy. Really, as soon as I told him, like, I've played less than 10 games, so if I make any mistakes and things, I'm not trying to cheat you. And he accepted that, and he was very kind and patient and so forth. Now, he was playing the Mando list that's just been made like legal by the era changes on Bo-Katan and the Clan Kreese Mandos. So he was playing the Armorer's Box just as is, alongside the Mandalorian, but then replacing Grief Karga and IG with Bo-Katan and the Clan Kreese Mandalorians. Works really well, really obvious synergy. We're playing on this table with very tall terrain, which my brain... I said it to the guy before. I said it to the guy during the game. It's that Warhammer brain thing of it doesn't feel like I should be able to shoot him or get up there, and I just can because it's Shatterpoint, and it takes a minute to work that out. Like, oh, I can't get to that ladder because I blocked myself in, but you could just do a climb action. Like, it just takes a minute to reset your brain still. After decades of playing Warhammer, where the movement rules in Shatterpoint are just far more permissive. We're playing Sabotage Showdown, so our first time playing Sabotage Showdown. All my games before going to the event have been on shifting because me and Zim just kind of decided that would be the best way to learn the game, because that's the default one that comes in the box, right? So Sabotage Showdown, the points are more in the middle; they're more close together, and in the struggles, when you Shatterpoint, there's a particular ability which could be to heal, it could be to get a free dash, it could be to recharge your force. I enjoyed Sabotage Showdown, although in this first game I didn't quite know what was going on. I did lose in 2 struggles, I think I said that. Adam was very friendly, very enthusiastic player. Can I say his minis were really well painted as well? And I care about that a lot, He was obviously a very experienced Shatterpoint player. He came second in the event overall. He was very patient with me, and did occasionally make a few suggestions of things. And I will say, it didn't feel like I was just run over by a steamroller. There were moments during the course of this game where I for a few minutes here and there thought maybe I was going to win the struggle, but not obviously it didn't pan out that way. But it didn't feel like a sort of sometimes when you're playing someone that's much better than you can just tell straight away that you're going to get massacred. Didn't feel that way. So whilst I did lose, and he did very much deserve the win, I felt like I gave a decent accounting of myself. One of my biggest mistakes, I guess, with this game that I remember, I'm not going to do a blow by blow of everything I did, but I ran Grievous forward because I got him near I think I top deck Grievous, and it's one of those things where with Separatists, and I'm going to talk more about this in another video, when you if you top deck Magnus, you always have to reserve them because they just can't achieve very much. They can move and hunker, and that's it, and that's not going to get you it's probably not going to get you to the midline, and it just depends as well. So it's one of those things. Whereas if you top deck someone like Grievous, and then you reserve him because going first is not ideal, you're then going to go into, you then worry that you're going to go into Magnas or B1s that you really just don't want to draw as your first activation. So you always want to go with your primaries if you get them early. And then it's like, cool, well, I'll move, and then I'll scuttle, and then I'll be in the middle, and I get a point. And it's like, cool, he did, and he got that point, and I got an early swing. But then he got shot and pinned, and then it's like, I've got this pinned General Grievous that's not going to accomplish very much for, I don't think, the rest of the game. He just kind of stood there going, yeah, I'm not going to accomplish very much. So I tried to learn something from that, and yeah, with Shatterpoint as well, unless physically, like, on this table, actually, with the terrain's tall enough that I probably could have hidden Grievous where he couldn't physically be seen just about. But generally speaking, once you move something up, it can be shot, right? If something's on the midline, it's like, that's the sort of chess-like element to Shatterpoint. Once you move something up to the midline, it's going to get shot. So it's just bearing that in mind and working out what to do with it, I suppose. Round 2 was against a guy called Matthew Swiss Robinson. All his friends called him Swiss. I'm not sure why. Matt was running the Cardi Mundi box, the new one in its entirety, plus Luminara, Barris, and the Arfs. So I won this game. I won in 3 struggles. We're playing Sabotage Showdown again. We're playing on this table pictured, which was really sparse, like the sparsest table I've ever played Shatterpoints on, which my brain, I don't know whether it's a mechanical thing about my list that makes me hate terrain, or whether it's just my brain going, oh, right, cool, and I can really just see what's going on really easily. So that made me really, like, I don't know, that seemed to make it easier. And, to say I didn't, like, slap the guy and steal his lunch. I won in 3 struggles. He did take a struggle off me, but I was pretty zazzed to win my first tournament game of Shatterpoint, and I think possibly it's the first game of Shatterpoint I've ever won. Ever. So that was pretty good. And it was one of the first games where you take characters like General Grievous. General Grievous can kill, like, if your dice just go your way, on his tree, Grievous could kill, like, Darth Vader in one combat action if you get lucky enough, and the Vader player gets unlucky enough. So it was one of the few games where, usually when I'm playing against Zimbad or I'm playing against Helen, like, my big characters like Grievous, they, like, roll, and then the other player rolls, and then Grievous goes, I go 2 squares down my tree and do, like, 4 damage or whatever it is. Whereas he just got to do his thing. So he one-shot the Arf troopers. He went move and scuttle right into the back line and just went, no, I'm just going to turn off your Arf troopers because they're very annoying. And that's one of the funny things about Grievous. Grievous doesn't care about Arf troopers because Grievous's expertise tree, when he's in his 4-armed attack, his defensive expertise tree is so bad. Like, that's the thing with Grievous. He can really blend you up in melee, but once he's on that melee side of his card, a stiff breeze will take. He does have the 11 wounds, so he's not going to get through them, but he's pretty easy to hurt. But it was just really nice that he just ran up to the Arfs and just went, no, you've gone from fine to dead. Which is cool, and it's something General Grievous is supposed to be able to do. And so having the dice just say, yes, you can do this now, was really, made me really happy. So that was good. Swiss was a really friendly, warm player. He was really, really sporting. He did actually, like, point out a few things here and there, which maybe if he hadn't pointed some of them out, I wouldn't have won the game. So lovely, lovely guys. A really lovely community. It's always a bit of a difficulty when you dip your toe into a brand new community, isn't it? Because I've only ever been to kill team tournaments, and like I once went to an Underworlds tournament. So yeah, I'm pleased to report the Shatterpoint community, at least from this small sample size, I didn't face anybody that was annoying, so that was really cool. Yeah, and I got a spot prize. So there was a spot prize system where there was some unique coloured dice from sent to the store by AMG for the tournaments, and the guy, the TO that was running it, was like, yeah, every round there was like a side quest, and the first 2 people to do the side quest could get some dice. They got like 2 brown attack dice and 2 green defense dice. And in this round, the side quest was to one-shot a support. And I did, and I was one of the first 2 people to do it, so I got some cool dice, which was nice. Round 3, I was playing against my lovely wife, Mrs. T.I., aka Helen Johnson. Her name's out there now, because anybody can go and look this event up on Longshanks, so that's fine, isn't it? Helen was playing Obi, Rex, and the Commandos, and then Anakin, Padawan, Ahsoka, and the Arfs. I won in 3 struggles. Now, the thing to say is this game took a little bit longer than it needed to. We obviously play each other casually, and so I think the fact that I was playing my wife meant that I was no longer on my best behaviour, and neither was she, in terms of being slightly professional about the games, and we would occasionally just spend too long talking about something. So we were definitely the last game to finish in round 3. We didn't go over time, we didn't actually get to the end of the 2 hours. We came pretty damn close to it, right? I never beat Helen at Shatterpoint. I've played her since, and she won again. So Helen and I have very different personalities. She's like a battery. She will start a tournament or start something the best she's going to be at it, and get depleted over the course of the event, which is very normal. I'm a bit more like a sort of rolling stone, whereas once I get going, one of the reasons I like tournaments is I usually think by game 3 tends to be my sweet spot, in terms of I've just done 2 games and that's the 3rd game, so now I'm like, right, I understand now what all my things actually do. And to the point where, having played Sabotage Showdown twice, even though I won the roll-off and my objective pack was shifting, and Helen's objective pack was Sabotage, I was like, I want to play Sabotage. I've just played it twice. I've got my head around what it does. I want to execute that, because I'm just one of these people that just, once I get into a groove with something, I'm better at it, right? So, no, it was good. It's funny, Helen, despite doing better than me, and I'm really pleased, and I'm like, I did really well at this tournament, Helen has such high standards for herself that she was really unhappy with some of the things that happened at the event. And she's completely reevaluated. She was, before this event, she was taking Anakin to every single, she loves Obi Anakin was her thing, and now she's like, no, I'm never running Anakin again, right? And she's never running the Commandos again. She's just going to run that Obi, Rex, and the Arfs, and run a point down. And then she's currently on a journey of discovery as to what she likes best with that squad. Will it be the Ki-Adi-Mundi box? Will it be the Bad Batch? Will it be something else? I don't know. But it's not going to be Anakin, Ahsoka. Right. So that's her journey of discovery. But yeah, I never usually win games against her, or rarely, so I was really pleased. She's much cleverer than me. She's much more analytical and logical and mentally sharp and good at remembering stuff, right? I always joke that between us we make one functional human, because I guess I'm more gregarious and outgoing and able to communicate reasonably well with people, but she's able to actually remember things. So I say this to Zimbad, who's also got a real memory like a steel trap. I'm sure that 2/3 of my difficulty with these games is that I'm still playing the single player game against myself of trying to remember what my stuff does. Okay, that's the game that I'm playing most of the time. Is I played the entire tournament. I don't think I ever used the Magna Guard's trigger to let them move when one of your primaries moves, despite that being one of the things that makes Magna Guards really good. I did use it when prompted to by my opponents, who didn't want to see me kind of miss out on one of the better rules in the thing, but there you go. And then round 4, so I was playing a guy called Ryan Grindley. Right, people named Ryan are very good at games. This is my analysis from my career in Kill Team and now this Shatterpoint tournament. So Ryan had won the going into round 4. Ryan had won the tournament. So basically, to explain what happened, it was a 10-man, or it was supposed to be even bigger potentially, but basically a lot of people had dropped at the last minute because a car had broken down and similar. So whilst it had been billed as a 4-round tournament, we would have a clear winner after 3 rounds. And the TO, Jared was asking people at the start, like, do you want to just do 3 rounds and then call it there? And then Ben, especially, who came with us, was like, no, I really want to play 4 games of Shatterpoint, because he's played like 2 games of Shatterpoint and has come to the tournament to play games of Shatterpoint. I would have gone if they'd been suggesting, hey, we'll only do 3 rounds, but we'll give you 3 hours for each round, so it's more relaxed and finish at the same time or whatever, or 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever it would have been. I would have gone for that option, but the option was no, just like 3 rounds for 2 hours and then go home. And it's like, I don't want to go home early because I'm going to dinner at a certain time, so I'll just be sat in Element Games. And then I sort of said, well, do you want to do a 3-round tournament, have the winner, and then have a 4th friendly casual round that isn't part of the tournament? But the guy running it wasn't keen on that, because I think he thought his terrain would get messed up something or somehow. So we ended up doing a 4-round tournament that was all the tournament. So in theory, had I beaten Ryan, he, despite being 3-0, wouldn't have then gone on to win. So he had a lot on the line, in theory. Now, Ryan was running Aiden's box with the ISF, because Aiden's box comes with 2 supports, and Moff's box. Ryan went on to win the entire event. These facts may be linked, is what I've written on the slide. Look, Ryan was playing the filth, and he knew he was playing the filth. Like, he wasn't a knob about it. He was a really nice guy. But he had arrived at the tournament with the intention of winning the tournament, which is totally fine, with the models that are mechanically the best at winning tournaments in Shatterpoint, which is totally fine. And he actually was saying, like, oh, actually, I've really gotten away with something here, because nobody's brought the counter to this list. Nobody's brought the the rogue, the rebels guys, right? Kanan and those guys apparently are the counter to Aiden. And so, I can't be mad about it. Man brings meta list to win tournament. How many Kill Team tournaments I've been to? It's like, yes, these are the 7 people running Thousand Suns. They're here to win. Don't worry about it. Because it was an 8-man tournament, and because I had basically, there was a lot of us on 2 wins, 1 loss going into round 4, and I was the only person on 2 wins and a loss that Ryan hadn't already played and given the 1 loss to. So I ended up playing the guy who was literally at the top of the deck. And yeah, I lost in 2 struggles, man. Aiden and her mate Hask, and generally the whole squad, but they are just so mobile. Right? They are just so, like, everywhere. Because they dash, Aiden can dash and move and then spend a force to do another dash. Hask can just reposition all over the place. And it got to the point where he was explaining what Hask was doing, and I was just sitting there going, I'm just going to believe you. Right, yeah, he's there now. That's cool. You just can't. They're just everywhere. Which makes a lot of sense. We were playing on shifting. We both brought shifting. Ryan run the roll off and said we're playing shifting. Makes sense with that much mobility. I'm also playing a very mobile team. I'm just not that good at piloting it yet, right? I should be also very mobile, but I don't think it's mobile. This is the most mobile thing I've ever seen in my life. This was just like bang, 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 bang. So, look, Ryan was a really nice guy, really lovely guy, gave me some really good hints at different times, like, I ended up with, so, he was dominating the game, and I should apologise. I don't know if Ryan's going to watch this. I did tell him I was a YouTube guy and give the name of my channel. I was a shockingly bad opponent for this game, because suddenly the wall of tiredness had hit me, And I was just like, oh, I didn't really understand what was going on. And if I was playing into a Republic player, right, or an Empire player, where I would have had more of a clue what was going on, because Helen plays a Republic. This was an Empire player, to be clear, but Ben refuses to run Iden because A, she's the filth, and B, like me, he's kind of frustrated that every tabletop game is going to have that stuff that's S tier. That's fine. That's the reality of it. And it's going to have people that want to play the S tier stuff. And again, that's fine. No problem. It's just slightly annoying that in Star Wars Shatterpoint, the S tier stuff at the moment isn't like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Darth Vader, Count Dooku. You know, these characters people have heard of. It's somebody from a spin-off video game that, like, I haven't played. Basically, like, who is Iden Verso and why do I care? Well, you know, in this game you have to care. Video game looks pretty cool, but I've just never played it. So, yeah. But I did manage to get a spot prize, so I'll tell the story of that. So the side quest in this game was to wound a primary, and it was pretty clear that I wasn't going to win. And he had Moff Gideon in the middle, like same thing I had last game where I brought up General Grievous and had a primary stuff on a point. He had the same thing. Sometimes you got your primary standing in the middle, swinging in the wind, and I just went, all right, Moff Gideon. I'm just going to charge General Grievous into you and roll my dice and see what happens. And Grievous managed to wound Moff Gideon. Like, I think there was another extra little bit in there of shooting or something else that happened just to finish him off. But Grievous did the lion's share of the work, and it was like, cool. It didn't help me because, you know, next turn then the Death Trooper escort comes up and other things come up, and he took that point back. But it was a fun play. I got a spot prize, and it's funny. I know what I did is I moved. I charged him with Grievous. I didn't quite kill him, and then later on, this is it. I shatterpointed. I went, oh, flip it. I'm shatterpointing Grievous. I did the attack action, and then I was sat there like, oh, I've wounded him. I don't know how I want to do my second action. And this way, he gave me a really cool thing. At that time, the Magna Guard were pinned, and he's like, just say you're going to move with Grievous, don't actually move the miniature, and then let one of your Magna Guard move and just clear the pin. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool. That's good. Really need to remember that Magna Guard trigger. That's like, really do. Really need to remember that and use it every time. Every single time I move a primary, I should be thinking about moving a Magna Guard, right? Final placings. So I came 6th out of 8. So to explain, Jared there, who came 3rd, was the TO. And Jared was not intending to play. But when Colm dropped, Jared stepped in as the spare player. Now, he then came 3rd. So we had Ryan on top, Adam 2nd, Jared 3rd, my lovely wife 4th, other Phil Russell. No, I didn't. One of the few people I didn't interact with during the whole event. It's funny because everyone else I spoke to, Phil is the one person there that I didn't have a conversation with. That was apparently running Dooku as well, but Dooku Mando, which is interesting. 5th, then me 6th, and then Ben, who came up with, my friend Ben, Oro on the Discord, came in 7th, and then Swiss on 9th, or secretly 8th, right? Now, Ben actually played Coleman round 1, and the joke is, and Colm was so outraged, so he instantly left. No, I understand his wife was taken ill or something actually serious. So yeah, it was a small tournament, and we had travelled quite a long way for quite a small tournament, but I don't care. Like, it was great fun. I really enjoyed it. Everybody there that I spoke to didn't speak to Phil Russell. Maybe he's a right monster. Probably not, right? Everyone I spoke to, though, which everybody else on that list, really lovely chap. Really, really lovely chap. So I think it was cool. I think they were kind of pleased to see us as well, to get 3 new players. Shatterpoint is a game that if you listen to the chatter online, it's not doing that well at the moment, but it is still really well supported, and I certainly intend to talk it up a little bit more often on the channel. Still going to play Kill Team, still going to think about Kill Team, still going to kill teams, right? But I'm going to start trying to focus a little bit more on Shatterpoint as well in my sort of casual dad community building way that I try and do, because you can't be a slave to what your audience wants. You've got to put out the stuff that you want to see in the world and adopt the mentality of, if you build it, they will come. And if only ends up just being me making a YouTube channel being watched by Major Tom and no one else, then that's still fine. We'll just do that. That's still fine. Yeah. Wow, I won prizes despite coming not in the top 3. So there were prizes. There were Element Games vouchers for the first, second, and third. Helen managed to get the third place prize because Jared was TO, so he was spare playering. He came third, but he wasn't going to give himself a prize. So even though Helen came fourth, the third place prize came down from third to fourth. Okay. I won some interesting red dice. So if you look in the screenshot, that's now my Shatterpoint dice tray. The red dice are interesting because they seem to be slightly worse like quality than the other dice. I think they're like third-party dice, but it's still more Shatterpoint dice, right? So I won those for having the most themed list. So I've been through, because I'm a nerd, right? So I wanted to know by what basis I had the most themed list, and I went through, and if you look at it, like Adam Tudor also has a really themed, like by themed I basically mean all these people canonically have fought on the same side at the same time on screen, right? And that's like the top bar. So it was basically between me, Adam, Helen, and Swiss. Everybody else, there's some incongruity of whether they would, like, there's plenty that would fight together but never did. So the most themed lists were the four of us, but basically, Adam came second, Helen came fourth but won the third place prize, and Swiss came last but won a voucher for Wooden Spoon. So I think that the secret tiebreaker was and hasn't already won a different prize, right? So that's cool. I like playing, I like hobbling myself when I play Shatterpoint and playing with themed lists, at least at the moment. I like the fact that the lists that I run are coherent and would make sense on the tabletop. That pleases me. So I was pleased to get something for that. That's really awesome. Now, look, there wasn't a painting, like a best painted or anything like that, but it's nice to win a prize for the miniatures that you've chosen to bring. That's nice. And then I also got 2 sets of the spot prizes. So the spot prizes were 2 green defense dice and 2 brown attack dice. Now, these were part of the official prize support kit from AMG, supposed to be for GT events. Basically, the shop just got sent far too much of this stuff from the official support kit. So they were basically just trying to get rid of it before the next season, which is very, very soon. I think the season flips for Shatterpoint just after Adepticon, which is the end of this month, obviously. So I think he was just trying to get rid of that stuff that he had before the next set arrives, right? He also got free pick of any of the foils I wanted from this year's GT pack. So I was good. I didn't just pick up everything and then like list them on eBay. Like I don't want to be a knob, but I did pick up everything that has a foil version of a card that I already would actually owned. So Dooku, Grievous, Aura Singh, Mother Tal. I don't know if I'm ever going to play Aura Singh and Mother Talzin, but they are miniatures that I own because I've bought CAD's box for CAD, and I brought Mother Talzin's box for Savaggio Press. So I have them. And a foil Shatterpoint card as well, which is pretty nice. So that's cool. Yeah. So there were prizes even though I didn't come, even though I came in the bottom half of the table. Reflections. So I really enjoyed my first ever Shatterpoint tournament. I know I started off negatively in the video, moaning about stairs. I genuinely feel like somebody has to moan about this stuff because you could be in a wheelchair and love Shatterpoint and be excluded by that. And it genuinely is rough, right? Like, People don't talk about that stuff. So it does occasionally need talking about it. Like, it is a thing in the world. Some people can't go up a flight of stairs, and those people might want to play games. But literally, that's the only negative. And I know I started off with the negative, and I've just brought it up now, so you might feel like, but actually, I had a really amazing time. The whole thing was a wonderful experience. It was fantastic. I think I did surprisingly well. You go to your first tournament, you do 2-2, you lose, and the two people that beat you came first and second overall. Like, you can't be, even though on the table there I'm down in seventh. Like, I don't really care. I don't quite know how it's go. It's not on strength of schedule, I don't think, right? Because if it had been like I say, the two other people I lost to, but maybe, I don't know, but then I also played the person that came last, so I don't quite know how it's worked it out, but nevertheless, really happy with my result, right? I would be keen to both do more Shatterpoint tournaments in other places as well, and I would also be keen to return to Element Games as a place to play Kill Team or Underworlds or anything else that I fancy playing, organised play of, right? Now, in terms of how am I going to get better at Shatterpoint, I mean, I'm not truly in the same headspace with Shatterpoint as I am with Kill Team, in so much as I'm not, like, with Kill Team, I'm having a bit of a midlife crisis, because I've been playing this game now for 4 or 5 years, and I still lose most of the game. I still lose more than I win, and that's bad. Shatterpoint, I'm like, well, I'm a noob, and I did 2-2, so it's a different complexion, right? But I do think I need to put some more thought into my mission selection, okay? So, for those of you that don't know, when you build a list for Shatterpoint, for any game, not just organised play, you nominate a mission. There are 4 missions that we know of now. 3 that you can actually buy in the shops in the UK, and 1 that's on its way over from the Atlantic, okay? When you select your team, you select a mission, and then the player that wins the roll-off to go first chooses from the pool of 2 missions. So 90% of the time it's going to be their mission, but chooses from the pool of 2 missions which mission you're going to play. I enjoyed playing Sabotage Showdown. I felt it was easier than shifting priorities. This is because everything's closer together, and if you look at people like Kalani, with his, table-wide, if you have another droid within 4, when you're being attacked, then your attacker gets +1 dice. Easier to have things within 4 of other things, right? Easier for him to have people within 4 for tactical network as well. However, I think it's fundamentally true that every single list that you can build in this game probably prefers Sabotage Showdown. And so what you have to think about is who prefers it more. Like, I think if I'm playing into a Republic list, and I'm saying, oh, we're doing Sabotage Showdown, that's the best way to phrase it is like, if Sabotage Showdown is the 10 out of 10 mission for Galactic Republic, and it's the 7 out of 10 mission for Separatists, but then if we play on shifting, that's a 6 out of 10 for Separatists and a 3 out of 10 for Republic. I'd be better learning how to do better on shifting, right? Because the reason it's so good for people that need more force, because you can refresh more force. It's so good for people that need the extra dashes and the extra mobility. Whereas I was finding, actually, I would Shatterpoint, and it was like, oh, I can refresh force, meh. Oh, I get a free dash, meh. Like, they weren't always super relevant to what I was doing. So I think I need to keep plugging on shifting priorities, because I think being able to reliably do okay on that one is probably going to boost my performance overall, right? But it was fun. It's fun, right, to play a different mission. And I've kind of got it out of my system now. I've played like 4 rounds of, which is pretty close to 50% of my games actually at this point. So I played like 4 games on Sabotage Showdowns. I feel like I've got, I've experienced that one. It'd be nice to have a go on, Don't Tell Me the Odds, but Don't Tell Me the Odds is, I want to chat more about this in a separate video. Don't tell me the odds is something where I feel like I want to build a particular list for it, because it's got things like, well, you got to kill someone with your secondaries, so that's cool. So now I'm going to think about taking like Savage Press, Django Fett, people like that, rather than the buff droids. They have okay guns, right? But I feel like where there's a mission pack that rewards you for killing, you want it with specified like parts of your list, then you need to make sure all the parts of your list can kill things, perhaps. I will say the new deck First Contact looks like it could be really cool for Separatists. If I can just manage to really fully work out how to do my movement tricks properly and not like mess myself up and pull people out of range of other people, or forget the Magna Guards have triggers, or move my primary somewhere without thinking about what angle the Magna Guards are going to get to follow. Like, I need to crack all that in my head, but then I think if I did, First Contact might be really cool as well for that. So that's something else percolating in the old noggin. In terms of if I was playing another like normal list event, and I am going to one in Norwich in a few weeks. Like, I'm thinking of playing this, which I came up with, and then was reliably. I was like explaining to Ryan. It was very funny. I was explaining to Ryan at the end of the game. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I like the list. Like, I used to play your list, yeah." Blah, blah, blah. Oh, but I'm thinking I might like the B1s are a bit meh, and nice to get the B2s in there. Maybe I'll swap Grievous for Cad Bane, because Cad Bane looks pretty cool. And he's like, "Yeah, like Kaduku, that's the thing." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's probably not actually that possible to have an original thought in." Yeah, and he's like, "Well, not with Separatists, no." And I was because they were one of the earliest like factions, and then they've not really got a lot. So I'm kind of playing the meta from 2 years ago. It's good because all my opponents know what all my stuff does, so I don't need to explain all the bullshit that I'm doing, which is pretty cool. Because it is a very kind of I get to move all of these now kind of a faction. So that's nice. So I want to do this list. I think I need to get Cad painted. It's the hobby thing, right? I need to get Cad painted, and I want to try this list, and I might try it. I'll try it at home, and then I might take it to Norwich and try it there and see if I like that better. It's not that I don't like Grievous, I do. But what I like about Dooku is that he gets to do stuff when other stuff happens. And Cad has the same thing. So Dooku's thing is when a primary or secretary gets wounded, you get an uplift. And Cad's thing is when like any of your guys manage to wound somebody, you get stuff, right? So that's really cool. Whereas Grievous and Ventress are just when they wound someone. So they're just like these little missiles. And the problem with that is like it's just the dice, isn't it? As I said before, with Grievous, sometimes it's feast or famine. Sometimes you roll and it's like cool, 5 crits, like you're dead. Sometimes you roll and it's like 3 hits, and your opponent's like 5 blocks, and you're like okay, cool. General Grievous cries. Maybe he gets a crit from his expertise and goes 1 down his tree and does like 2 damage, and it's like big whoop. So I, generally speaking, not a huge fan of it's so cool when they do their thing, but like there are better characters for murdering, like Darth Maul, because Darth Maul I've played against can just go, you're exposed now, and then you are now getting more than the sort of 2 to 3 steps down your tree that you're going to get most of the time, and you're going to get more of them because you've turned off their defensive expertise. So that's cool. Yeah. I'm signed up for a premiere event on May the 3rd, so I need to. Again, I will do a video, maybe even tomorrow. If I should really go. This has been a Shatterpoint intensive one, so I really should talk about Games Workshop tomorrow and then do Shatterpoints on Monday. But I've half made the slide deck for the Separatist tag Shatterpoint list building deep dive, so maybe we'll get there. I don't know. I'm just doing stuff, aren't I? Yes, final thoughts, because I was supposed to go to bed 23 minutes ago. I think my wife is passively aggressively tidying up in the hallway so I can hear that she's moving around and not on the computer. Were you at the event? I don't know I only mentioned to my last opponent that I even had a YouTube channel, but if you were there, share your thoughts down below. If you just know things about Shatterpoint, and if you have been playing, especially if you've been playing Separatists since they came out, and you want to give me any advice, I would love your advice. I have so many tournaments coming up. I'm going to Shatterpoint in Athena Games in Norwich. They've got a Shatterpoint event coming up. Booked into that. I'm going on my own at the moment. Trying to convince Zimbad to come. He might do. That's the one he's on the fence about. But then I don't know if the tickets are sold out yet or not either. So we'll see. Then I'm going to Kill Team Knots Easter weekend, Easter Saturday. Love to see the Knots guys. Love to get back and finally finish painting my orcs, right? So that'd be cool. Then I got Kill Team in Norwich in Athena Games again. So hopefully I like the venue because I've already booked to go to another thing there. It's funny because I did the Kill Team one first and then just randomly went, I wonder if they have any Shatterpoint. They did. And then I'm going to this premiere event 2 days. I'm going with Ben, Oro on the Discord for 2 days to Element Games for the premiere, and then a doubles as well on the Sunday. So that'd be really cool as well. So look forward to loads more tournament reports for, I guess I have 2 main games now, right? Do subscribe, comment, like, etc., etc. in the Discord, and I want my heartfelt thank you to all of my members. Haven't got any top tier members at the moment to shout out, but I'm going to give a little shout out to it's gone from my screen, and therefore I can't remember his name. That's how quickly. Samtroth. I want to give a quick shout out to Samtroth, because Samtroth did email me and basically said, I'm going to step down my membership tier, because I want to give the balance of the money to the Just Giving page that I was promoting a couple of weeks ago. And that is absolutely spot on. So, why did I leave the names in the video for so long after they'd both not been on the top tier anymore? Because I didn't check. Because I'm a shit capitalist. What can you do? I don't do this to win it, YouTube. I think that's it. I'm rambling about irrelevant noise. So, have a good one. Cheerio. Bye-bye. 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 Bye. Sorry for swearing.